Hello once again, witchy people. Day 29 of the October YouTube Pagan Vlog Challenge, and the phrase is my town. And I have got notes, which is why the glasses are on, because much as I love my hometown, I don't remember everything about it, sort of like facts and figures. So anyway, we'll start off by I live in Southampton, and Southampton actually isn't a town, it's a city. Now, it was once said that the only way you could be a city was if you had a cathedral, and that kind of stopped. I think it was abolished in the late 19th century, and now a city is just a place that's been granted city status by the monarch. The cathedral bit got abolished. I think it was 1889 or something daft. So Southampton, the town, the city, it was founded in the Middle Ages, and it was called Hampton. And Hampton, or Hamwick, was a place that was built on the bend of a river. And Southampton, as a market village, if you like, a little market town, was founded on the bend of the River Itchen. And it wasn't until much later, I think it's the mid-11th century, where the south bit was added and it became Southampton. Now, Hampton itself means, it doesn't only mean like the settlement on the bend of a river, it can also mean the home settlement. And Hampshire itself, which is the county that Southampton is in, was actually named after Southampton. Hampshire was named after Hampton when Southampton was still Hampton. So obviously Southampton is quite famous for a lot of things. The Mayflower departed from Southampton, and the Mayflower departed, was it 1620? I think the Mayflower departed from Southampton. The Titanic departed from Southampton in 1912. And most people with a history of being a Southampton resident are Soutonian, as we're called, and the word Sotton, to shorten Southampton, becomes Sotton, and people who live in Southampton are called Soutonians. I think that was a word sort of like coined probably in the 20th century. It wasn't really, in print wise anyway, it certainly wasn't around before, I don't think, the 1940s, 1950s. But yes, us Soutonians are we're quite proud of our city, I think. And we do tend to know quite a lot about our heritage. I mean, we have the Bargate Centre, and the Bargate is still there, which is it was the gateway to Southampton. Now, when I say like the Mayflower and the Titanic left from the port of Southampton, people don't realise just how tiny that port is. It's really tiny. Now, I was born in a place called Canberra Towers, and Canberra Towers looked over a small coastal inlet called Western Shore. And you can see across the water to Hythe, from Weston to Hythe. You could swim it very easily. And it's this small, well, you could swim it distance-wise very easily. I wouldn't suggest swimming it. There are quite a few tidal lows there, and it's got quite a tidal stream, tidal pull. But people don't realise you have to go up past the Isle of Wight, which kind of cuts off this Western Shore from the main coast. It kind of hides this little Western Shore, and you have to go up Western Shore, up this tiny little inlet, I think it's part of the Solent, to get to the port of Southampton. So for everyone that's gone on a ship from Southampton, the port of Southampton, to or from, the Port of Southampton, to or from anywhere on a ship, has, since 1969, has been past the place where I was born. 68, 69. Canberra Towers was built 68, 69. As each, it's 22 floors. I was born on the 21st floor, facing out towards the water. And as each level was being built, they moved people in whilst they were building the next level, and so it went on up until 22 floors. So, like I said, it's quite strange that, you know, that people think of Southampton being this huge port, and yes, we have cargoes, loads of cargo ships come in and out of Southampton all day, and you can sit at Western Shore and watch the ships come by to and fro. And it's really interesting because it's such a small inlet, and so the ships pass by quite closely. When the Falklands crisis happened in 1981, 82, 81, the QE2 was kitted out and took soldiers out from the port of Southampton, and as they left, many Suttonians and other people as well, but thousands of people stood along where we lined Western Shore. I was one of them. And the ships, the QE2, that passed by so closely that you could hear the sailors, the seamen on board singing, and they were singing "We Are Sailing." And it really brought a tear to a lot of eyes that day. But you could see them. You could see these soldiers and the personnel lined up all around the ship, the deck of the ship. They were right the way round, and they were singing for us. They were singing for us, the people lined on shore. It was amazing. And like I said, I love living in Southampton. Southampton is my hometown. It's my home city. It's really hard to explain to someone who doesn't know about towns and cities the difference between a town and a city. I don't know why becoming a city and a city status is so important. I mean, I think there are, between England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, I think there are 66 cities, something like that. There's under 70 cities. And yeah, it's got nothing to, you can lose your city status and become a town again, as you know, but it's quite difficult to become a city. And like I said, it used to be that to be a city you had to have a cathedral, but that's, and Southampton was one of the only city to be a city without a cathedral for many years. But yeah, so it's quite hard. I mean, put it this way, people think of the City of London as being London. London is a city. London is a town. Within London, there is the City of London and the City of Westminster. Just to confuse things. So yeah, people don't realise that there is actually a difference between a city and a town, though. What the difference is now, I don't know. So what else can I tell you about Southampton, apart from the fact that we have the shore, we have the New Forest, very close by in Hampshire. The main part of Southampton that most people see, that tourists see, is obviously near the port and the Bargate Centre, Tudor House Museum, which is amazing. We have a Titanic museum as well. Spitfire, we're very famous for the Spitfire. The man who invented the Spitfire and designed the Spitfire actually lived in Eastleigh, which is part of Southampton. Southampton Airport used to be called Southampton Eastleigh Airport, or Eastleigh Southampton Airport. Now it's just Southampton Airport, but it is actually in Eastleigh, which I know well because that's where my grandparents lived. It's where my mum grew up. We are twinned to quite a few different ones. Now, when I was very little, we were twinned with Le Havre in France. I think that happened in 73, 74, something like that. 73. Southampton was twinned with Le Havre. And so in 1980, 81, it was my year at school where everyone went to Le Havre. You got a chance to go to Le Havre for a few days because that was the town that we were twinned with. And so we used to do student exchanges as well. In 1991, we were twinned with, let's have a look at my notes here. I know it's somewhere in Germany. Rem-Murr-Kreis. It's Rem-Mur-Kreis in Germany. That was 1991. In 2002, we were twinned with Trieste in Italy. In 1998, we were twinned with Hampton in Virginia, America. In 1978, we were twinned with a place called Busan, I think, in South Korea. And amazingly, on the 14th of June this year, 2019, we were twinned with Miami in Florida, which people find astounding because you couldn't get two more different places. I mean, Florida has these beautiful white sandy beaches and we have a stony western shore. You know, Miami has wonderful 1920s architecture and we have Tudor architecture. And, you know, you have these amazing food and we have fish and chips. So yes, 2019, 14th of June, we were twinned with Miami, Florida. What else? Southampton specifically, like I said, I can't say, I mean, people associate a lot of witchcraft with Hampshire because of Burley and Sybil Leek. Sybil Leek's cottage is actually a house now. It's not a house, it's a shop, lovely shop. And that's not far from where I live, but actually in Southampton, you know, I mean, they used to call it the gateway to England, which is nice. But and we used to have a shipbuilder's yard in Southampton when I was growing up. It was Vosper Thornycross, and we used to call it Vospers. And it was a shipbuilder's, and we were incredibly famous for that. And it's so sad that that was shut down and that disappeared. I mean, even though you've got to bear in mind the Titanic wasn't built in Southampton, it was built Liverpool in Ireland. It just took its maiden voyage from Southampton. Yeah, I can't remember. It was built in either, when it comes to Ireland and Liverpool, it was built in one and kitted out in another. And yeah, then it came down to Southampton and we had the maiden voyage. You know, and we were famous for so many things, and industrially, it's quite sad that so much has disappeared now. What is amazing, talking about the Titanic, I mean, I had family, ancestors who died aboard the Titanic. But I think it's Southwestern House, the BBC Southwestern House, that's the British Broadcasting Company owns Southwestern House, which used to be the hotel where the people going on a voyage would stay. And it had tram lines that aren't used anymore, but it had tram lines, it had a train line as well, but a tram line that went from the hotel, Southwestern Hotel, all the way down to the docks to where the Titanic sailed off. And people, there was that hotel and the Dolphin Hotel, but the tram lines are still there, although they're not used. And people say it's haunted, but as is the Dolphin Hotel. But it's amazing that this building still stands, even though it's not a hotel anymore, which is a shame. But it's a beautiful building. I think originally it was just called Western House, and they added the South to the Southwestern House. But so that there is a lot of history in Southampton. There's still a lot of historical buildings and historical places to go. But we have lost some of the more industrial side, like I said, the shipbuilders, which I do miss a lot. A lot of people who, when I was growing up, lived in Southampton, their parents tended to work at Vospers. or Pirellis. They worked at Pirellis as well. My grandfather worked at Pirellis, Pirelli General. So there you go. Not a history of Southampton at all, but more how I remember Southampton and a few little bits here and there, and what it's like to be a Soutonian. I hope I got all the dates right. So there you go. Southampton, day 29 of the October YouTube Pagan Vlog Challenge. Thank you for watching, witchy people. I'll be back very soon. Bye for now.